This episode of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday is sponsored by Moonlight Monster Media, home of Dirt Road Tales of Horrors and the Structure, published by Zombie Media.
Ronnie Walters, an eccentric, redneck, and loner, believes the moon landing never took place, and that a reptilian regime rules behind the scenes of society. In Dustin Grammer's second book, published by Zombie Media, The Structure, Ronnie makes a startling discovery when he flies a drone over the woods near his Alabama home. Sometimes things are uncovered that are best left alone, and in this thriller, we are reminded that they are watching. So make sure to order your copy today. Available at Amazon.com in paperback, ebook, and audiobook.
Tonight, greetings, fellow travelers. As the week reaches its thrilling midpoint, we're broadcasting from the mountains of West Virginia. Embrace the spirit of adventure as you join us on this daring journey through the untamed wilderness of Let's Find Out with Diego. Bonus Overdrive Wednesday.
It's time to find out with Diego. Let's go. Ooh, yeah.
On this episode of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, they are our generation's masters of heavy metal storytelling, captivating listeners with a raw energy and powerful narratives. Their latest video, Skinwalker, showcasing what they do best, available now on YouTube. We will uncover the magic they bring to the heavy metal universe. All this plus more. Please welcome to Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, our good friends from Mulligan. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. I've been waiting a year to have you guys back now.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for having us back.
Oh, no problem. And when I saw that the latest video, Skinwalker, is out, I was like, oh, man, I got to get you guys back on here. But we're going to go over that here in a little bit, because for those that didn't catch the episode, I had you back on Let's Find Out last year. I don't know if it was last year, but a year and a half ago. And I will tell you now, how I discovered you was on a friend of mine's Facebook page. And you guys had a post on there, and I said, oh my gosh, Moon Mulligan. I'm already interested with the name. So I go on the YouTube channel, and then the first one that I hit, Mothman Saga Part 1. Oh my gosh, man. I was hooked ever since. So let's go back to the beginning. Since I said maybe, I don't know how, maybe somebody forgot or didn't hear the episode.
Yeah.
How did this all start?
Yeah, I guess I don't even remember what I talked about last time we were on the show, but I guess I can kind of do a sort of recap or whatever, just sort of what's going on. So me and old Cracker here are in a metal project that we got going, and basically the idea is to not only put out music, because as you know, and also I want to not get too off topic here, Diego, but I've been watching your show. I've seen you, like, you're going nuts, dude. You're going crazy. What, you up to like 14K subscribers now or something on YouTube? That's nuts, dude. That's congratulations, dude. You're doing a great job.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, loving it, dude. Like 100% supportive, man, because it's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, back to what I was saying, like basically, you know how it goes when you're trying to build a platform, you know, or whatever. And if you're in a band, you can't put out music every day. You know, if you're a meme channel or something like that, or even if you're just someone who posts daily content, you know, a lot of times you're not working for months on each post. And that's how it is with music. You know, it takes a long time to write and to record and to get it the way you want it. And you can't, I mean, there's a lot of bands out here that are doing the meme page thing, because that's really the best way to sustain any kind of following on like Instagram or YouTube or anything like that. And that's, I'm not knocking that at all. That's totally cool. But what we wanted to do was sort of like, we want to put music out, but we didn't want to put all this time and effort into putting out music and then just release it to like a platform with 0 followers, 0 subscribers, you know. And So we decided, like, I like making videos. Old Cracker is literally the storytelling master. He's got the voice for it. He's got the ideas. We come up with stuff together all the time. We just, text one another and be like, hey, what about this? And then we'll do something with it eventually. But what we started to do was, if we could make videos introducing the concepts or like certain characters that would be involved in our music, then maybe we could get people invested in it that way. And not only that, but there are times when you're in a band where you're not always in the studio, you're not always working on music, but there's always something to work on with this project for both of us. And so we do have, like you mentioned, the Skinwalker video, which is the newest one. I'm, like I think I mentioned last time we were on, I'm not a video editor, or I'm not an artist in that respect, but I've learned a lot over the last year and a half. Just starting out making, I like to make music, just for fun. And a lot of the music that goes into the video portion of Moon Mulligan may never be used for a song. It's just like background stuff I've made for the, to go along with the visuals and the storytelling and stuff. So if you're listening and you're interested in cryptids, which I know you must be if you're listening to this show, if you're into Sasquatch or Dogman or Mothman or the Skinwalker or any of those characters or sort of archetypes, we kind of have our own spin on them. But yeah, right now we're kind of introducing these characters and just sort of seeing what happens, and we're telling a story, but it's a slow burn. So if you like metal and you like folklore and stuff like that, then I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, you guys hit all the notes with it. Now, seeing that as I'm going through the videos here, you talk about your spin on it, because you cover a lot of things in here. It's science fiction, it's cryptids, we have krakens, we have pirates, we have Mothman, we have aliens. It's perfect for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. But with Moon Mulligan, and I know there's life before Moon Mulligans, each of you involved in a music project of sorts or in bands, and I promise we're gonna get to more about Moon Mulligan. So I'll start out with you, Old Cracker. With you, what was life like before Moon Mulligan? What were you doing?
So Old Cracker is like a hellbilly outlaw cowpunk, Florida cowboy. So down here in the South, cracker is a sort of misunderstood word for some reason. But down here in Florida, it's big time. It's Florida cowboy. So down here in Florida, we use bull whips to move cows through the swamps, the palmettos, the rivers, underbrush, gators, this and that. To get those cows through that, man, you need to use a bull whip and get them moving, and so hence the name Cracker. So I used to live in this really, Palaka. It's actually in Indian means cow town, and so that's where I got the name Old Cracker. And I started this band, and I used to be a manager for Walmart. I'd walk around singing Johnny Cash, and for some reason they liked it, and that motivated me to do Old Cracker. And I moved to Palaca, and I wrote this song, Where in the Hell's Palaca? And that sort of got Old Cracker going. And then Old Cracker started figuring out the only way to book yourself is to book yourself, So I jumped on social media like a maniac, and like people dug it for some reason. I've been doing social, I don't even know now, maybe even 12, maybe even 15 years. I don't even know quite yet.
Well, I've
But
known you for almost that long.
yeah, it caught up. And then Old Cracker joined a metal band. And then my alter ego had a different alter ego, and I was called Medicine Fox. I'd paint myself up like a native. I had a headdress, and we sung metal, and that took off too. And we could we could book anywhere in Florida. So I was booking us, and we were booking Florida, South Georgia, and that's where I ran into Patrick with his band, A New Decree, which is silent running, and they were metal guys, and we ended up playing shows together, and we just became fans of each other because we played shows all the time together. And the band was not only that, but their band was incredible. Of all the bands that I've played with, silent running, the most professional. I can't believe they weren't signed. Truly, why they weren't signed, who knows? So led to that. Then I got a job on the pirate ship. Got to keep my name Old Cracker because the deal is so my pirate story. So I switched in my pirate voice here, my Old Cracker pirate voice. And when I worked on the ship, how did I get the name Old Cracker? Well, my mother was a pirate whore, so I was born on a pirate ship. And I sailed all the seven seas, and I sailed with all the best captains. But then I started feeling maybe I should change from my piratey ways. So I moved inland to Palac, and I became a farmer. Hence the name, I got the name Old Cracker. But once a pirate, always a pirate. And so they hired me. I did an audition. Boom. I love it. I sing a cappella on the ship every day. I sing shanties. So it keeps my voice very conditioned for metal because I sing almost like a metal song on my shanties. I actually get to sing my own song. I wrote my own song for the Black Raven, which is the ship I work in St. Augustine. So anybody want to be a pirate, come be a pirate for the day, St. Augustine. Plus it's a gorgeous view. Ships go out, battle on the high seas. We fight another ship. We got cannons, sword fights. We teach kids how to sword fights. We got a booze cruise. We cover it all. Blah, 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 blah. And then Patrick hit me back. He had been working on some side stuff. And I couldn't there was for me to say no to him and his brother and his cousins, and for me to even say no to that would be, I was just like, I couldn't even believe that he was hitting me up to work with him, truthfully. I mean, I know that we're cool and we've been fans of each other for a while. For to actually get to work with them is like a whole different level. And so we came into this a whole different way on Moon Mulligan because we both been in bands, and why did all these bands just throw this music out there, and then guess what? It just gets old, and then people forget about it, and no one ever even heard it. So people forget about it before they even hear it. Music is is so oversaturated. We have to figure something out different to hit music. And so we started off with an idea of this, and it grew into something big. And so we're taking our time with it. And the great thing is, it's like we're building our fan base as we do it, and it's a lot more rewarding. And I think I've changed my writing style a little bit. Like Patrick said, we hit each other all the time. We text each other all the time. I'll call them sometimes because sometimes you just can't get in texting, which you can actually in a phone call. So I'm old school, so sometimes I got to call them. You know what I'm saying? So, but we hit these ideas back and forth, and he's made me a better storyteller. He's made me a better songwriter. He's made me a better lyricist and writing and all that kind of stuff because he's expert at all that. Me, I'm a little sloppy. So he's more perfectionist, which is cool. Does not enough to make me perfect, but keeps me straightened out. That kind of shit. So I love that part of it. But that's the Old Cracker
first
story, and here we are.
I don't claim any of those compliments, by the way, but I do appreciate it.
Before you came on, we were having the pre-interview. Old Cracker and I were talking about say great things about you, and so I'm curious, Patrick, what's Silent Running? What's the story behind that?
Oh, well, that was a band that I was in. So, I mean, pretty much, there's not really a big story behind it or anything. I started playing guitar when I was like 15, like a lot of people do, and I'm 33 now, so that was probably 2006, 2007, something like that. And I still don't consider myself like a master musician or even a good guitar player, but I mean, I can make noise with it. That sounds cool sometimes. But I started playing music, and then the natural progression of that is you just get with some guys and you start making music together and playing covers and stuff. So I was in like a garage band in high school, and different members filtered in and out and stuff over the those few years, and then we finally settled on it ended up being my brother, myself, my cousin, and his brother, my other cousin. So that was what made up the band that he originally mentioned, the New Decree. We did that for a few years, and then we rebranded, and it was the same lineup but just a different band name. And
in Diego, they look really cool, man. They look like four South Georgia boys. So I'm really into Southern rock. I'm proud to be from the South. I'm proud to be from Florida. I love Georgia because I hate the Gators. And when I saw these guys, it was just like, wow, man. They just owned their look. They were four fucking dudes that were rocking some killer fucking metal, but it did have a little bit of a Southern rock edge to it, which I liked because there's all kinds of people say they're Southern or metal, this and that, but to actually hear a little bit in there was really cool. So right off the bat, the very first time I ever saw them, I just was like, wow, So I definitely like that because it was good. It was easy to book them. It was easy to book y'all.
Oh yeah, we play anywhere, man. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, when
Yeah.
you're in
Yeah.
a band and I know people are like, the meme of like getting paid with exposure. Nobody wants to get paid with exposure, but at the end of the day, though, if you're playing original music, that's kind of what you have to do. I mean, there's
Yeah,
not
man. What choice do you have?
until you build yourself in a relationship with some of the promoters and stuff like that, you're not getting paid. You're gonna play horrible shows. You're gonna play shows with awful sound. You're gonna play shows that no one shows up. That's just kind of the nature of it. But you just play as much as you can, honestly, just to get experience, if nothing else. And that's what we always did. But yeah, to answer your question, you can go listen to that band, Silent Running. We have music on Spotify, YouTube, and stuff. But everybody just kind of went their separate ways, and we're still all, family and stuff. There's nothing going on like that. We just kind of hung it up, and we all have different stuff going on now. So this would be our sort of new project. And actually, my brother and one of my cousins is actually involved in Moon Mulligan. So not the exact same project, but we've played together for a long time. So it's not anything new, really. We're just making new types of music and are sort of coming at it at a different angle, I think.
So
And
we're
I
adding
think,
a different element to Moon Mulligan.
yeah. So we're taking,
Well,
so like the
yeah.
music talent of these guys, and then the epic storytelling. So we have an epic story to tell, man. Truly. I'm not, so I have no problem saying that, because I know our story is epic, and our story has gotten more epic, actually. So as we add these chapters to it, and people truly don't even know what it is. Right now, they're sort of getting a feel for each of these cryptid. But why are all these cryptids getting together? Why are we talking all these cryptids? Why? Who is Moon Mulligan? What does Moon
Yeah.
Mulligan have to do with these cryptids? And so that's where we're at right now, which is really cool. So our fan base that we do have, this is the shit I'm getting, which I love. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know when the next song. I know you need a song. I know y'all need a song. I know. So that's what I just like to say. Hey, I know. Cool.
So it was the perfect storm when you both met each other a while back, and then ideas flow and the energy's there. What was the first track or the first video you guys did together?
Actually, so I believe the first song that Old Cracker sent me a demo to, like he put vocals on it, I believe ended up being Mothman, which is a song that is obviously Mothman is one of our characters. Like you mentioned earlier, but there is going to be a song associated with each of these sort of, characters, or whatever you want to call them. And so I believe that demo, I didn't even have a name for it yet. Like I just had the music recorded, and I sent it to him, and he sent me back the vocals for it in 2 hours, which is insane, by the way. And so then I was like, okay, I guess it's Mothman. And I think that was the first one that we actually did.
Yep. And then Skinwalker was right behind it. But Mothman's what got started, because we didn't even really know what we were doing. We wanted to do some cryptid stuff. And that's what started it. And he hit me. But I told you, once he hit me, man, Diego, I was motivated. Obviously, it was like, man, I need to show these young bucks I need to give them something good right off the bat to make sure that this is I was actually like, wow. I was still sort of in shock, for some reason. But happy it worked out. Happy it's going exactly like it is, man, because it's great.
Yeah, and Old Cracker had always been a guy that we never played together or anything. Actually, we've never played a show together yet. Lord willing, maybe in the future, but that's not really our priority, because we do live about 2 hours apart, and he's going to come down to our studio, which my brother, who is playing bass in Moon Mulligan, the band. We just in December, I opened a music store, and my brother has a recording studio. So we have 2 units, and it's called Black Cypress Sound. It's in Folkestone, Georgia. Shameless plug if anybody wants to check it out.
Right.
But basically, my brother,
Latin.
Bruce, he is producer. So
Yeah.
we have a producer in the band. We also have a studio that we own. So like, you know, that's something that a lot of bands
Yeah.
don't really
Right.
necessarily get the advantage of, because it is expensive. Recording time is expensive, and when you're paying per hour too, like you got to get in
Wow.
there and get it done. You don't have
Exactly.
a whole lot
Yeah.
of time to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we have the advantage, at least the luxury of like sitting on some of these demos for over a year, and you know, writing them as we go, and you know, multiple phases of that demo process kind of makes you. And if you're in a band, you know what I'm talking about. You write a song, it's going to be entirely different by the time it's done, but like in a good way, you know, most of the time, because you're gonna have time to sit with it and kind of say, oh, well, what could I add to this, or how could we change this, and then by the time you actually record it for the final mix, you know, it's a completely different product. So I'm excited to see where that goes from our demo phase to our finished product, and it's going to be a really fun process. And we're going to get Sean to come down and record in person with us for sure. So that won't be
Yeah.
too
So
much of a haul for him.
we'll do that. And then for sure, once we get in a groove, we for sure will play at least a couple live shows. I mean, it's inevitable, because once we get into a room together and actually jam this shit out, they'll be like, yeah, we'll get on a stage somewhere or another. But that isn't priority. So right now,
For
sort
sure.
of finishing up the songs, is what we're doing right now. And I'm with Patrick on that part. What we started with and what we're going to end with is definitely very, very happy. Definitely, it's making me better, and so I love it. And the product is going to come out. It's going to be awesome, you know. So we hope everybody gets it. We hope everybody's into cryptids. So we were talking about pre-show. We were talking about some books and stuff, and you were coming up. Said something about you had this book about some new underground cryptids, Patrick. So me
Oh,
and Patrick have talked a lot about different underground cryptids because we dig it. And we still, there's still maybe another character added to this, so we don't even know. So I didn't know if you knew that, Patrick, but I'm going to throw that at you about the cryptid stuff with Diago. Is he's been going to underground and find some new ones, so I want to hear about some of these new cryptids actually.
for sure. Yeah, there's definitely going to be more characters added, more storyline. Right now, if you're watching the videos, or if you're interested in watching the videos, there is a playlist on our channel, Moon Mulligan, that has the entire story so far in chronological order, and it's almost like we're building this universe, and it's I've never done. I've written essays and stuff in school, and even fiction and stuff in school, but I'm not really a hobby writer. I mean, but I guess I am now. But what I've been doing lately is and this is something that is not 100% gonna happen, but this is something that I'm heavily leaning toward. I want to get into doing comic books for this sort of universe, and what I would need for that is, obviously, I've already started writing some of these stories in comic book script format, which I'm very new to. I watched some videos on YouTube. You can learn anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
I watched some of that, obsessively did that for a week and watched people write comics and teach you how, and I'm doing my best. But I've got some friends who are in the art world, and they're skilled artists, and they're willing to help us out. And I think in the future that could happen. And so I've sort of started to take that approach to it. And so it's almost like there is this living universe, and anytime, we could throw something in. Oh, this takes place after Mothman Part 1, but before Dogman, or something like that. You know what I mean? So really the basis of the story is that it is every video will kind of explain, what the setting is and stuff. So I try to make it easy to, keep track of. But basically, all the characters they exist in the same universe, and they're all kind of dealing with the same problems caused by the same person. And in this, we kept it simple, and the main antagonist of the Moon Mulligan universe is the devil. And he takes many different forms, and he shows up in different videos, and if you watch them, you'll see. And it's the same character, and that's sort of what it's all leading toward. And you could, like you mentioned too, there's aliens, and there's of course different aliens in the Mothman video, and they're, there's all kinds of different factions and stuff. So there's plenty of like lore we can build upon, but we could also keep it very simple and just sort of do it how we're doing it now. And we get ideas all the time. It's just a matter of trying not to get ahead of ourselves and putting out too much different stuff and getting confusing ourselves even. So we're trying to pace ourselves with it. But my biggest issue right now is I'm using AI for the visuals, and like, I don't knock that. I think that's a great tool, but I would really like to get some original art going. So if there's any artists out there that like what we do and be interested, just hit up Diego or hit up us on our Facebook or whatever like
Yeah,
that.
we know
Yeah,
you're
man.
out there. We know you're out there,
Yeah, we
man.
know you're out there. Now is the.
That's
I mean,
it.
I will say this. Right now is the time. If you're an indie creator, now is your time. Like,
Now is your
more so
time.
than ever. If
Right.
you're a musician, if you're an artist, if you're a writer, if you're someone who makes videos, whatever that may be, like, you have. When I was a kid, I wanted nothing more than to have a radio show, and that's crazy that Diego. I'm sure you had similar aspirations, and here you
Yeah.
are, and you're
Right.
on the radio. Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Me, if I can go back to my like 10-year-old self and tell them that we have limitless access to the internet, the World Wide Web, and I can upload whatever I want and people can see it. I feel like my kid self would kick me in the shin for not taking more advantage of that, because it is kind of crazy that you can just make whatever you want and you don't need a record label, you don't need a movie studio, you don't need a big budget. You can do stuff on your iPhone. And so I think if you're a creative person, that's something that you need to think about, and
You
you
could
should
be.
take advantage of all the tools that you have at your disposal.
What I like about the AI though, right now is AI's in. There'll be a time when AI isn't in, but right now it is in. And Patrick's figured out totally how to use it to our advantage. You know, we come across with a certain thing. We're not, our AI is supposed to look like it's AI, but we have really cool characters come up with really cool artwork and doing this kind of deal to motivate, to find that real artist out there that does want to work with us. So everything's about authenticity right now. Seriously, if anybody with the lowest budget right now, because it's authentic, budget isn't a thing. You know, budget is like right now, a studio like you talking to us like now, doing this. This is what people are doing right now in their homes. You know, getting
Yeah.
up at these guys already doing a little dream, man, putting a little comic book shop and a studio together. But now is the time to seize the day. If you can be professional, I think that helps you uh in the long run. If something comes about of it, right, if this is to turn into something, being professional is definitely going to take you to the next step. And so we're just rolling it. But man, if I'm going to roll my dice, I'm rolling it on Moon Mulligan. Hence the reason I've been doing it. Hence the reason we're still doing it, which is crazy. If you look at it like start to finish, well, we've started and been doing this and we've been working on it for so long. But really, in the time frame of things, it's nothing. And like we said, our whole deal is we're really just still building our fan base. So hey, man, if you're digging the Moon Mulligan stuff, man, make sure you're sharing it. YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. X. We're on all of it, man. So hit us up, man. Share it with your friends. We're not trying to jam it down anybody's throat, but we have something different, man. We have a story to tell, and our stories are cool, and it is catching people's attention. Even the youth. I believe. I believe in the youth, man. I can cuss them all I want all day long, but in the end, they are the future. So I do dig that they like the metal, though. I meet plenty of kids that like the metal, so I'm loving that.
Yeah, metals, man, I don't know. It's like every year it gets bigger and bigger again. It's like almost it had to die in order for it to be reborn.
Right,
And
right.
growing up with, in my times, I've been a metalhead since I was 8 years old. It's a very, very long time ago. And a lot of the bands, even yeah, it's a very long time ago. And it almost seemed like there's every subject that's been beaten to death when it comes to metal or hard rock. And that's okay. And you could do it differently. When it comes to like concept albums or certain subjects, because some bands are really good about telling sagas or stories. Like you have King Diamond with his what he does, and Queensrÿche with Operation Mindcrime. You have Sabaton with the history. Very few people are doing the type of presentation you're doing. I can only name maybe one band, but that's very loosely because they do other things. And I actually, Moon Mulligan's way better than that band. That's why did I not mention their name? And why did they choose the route of the cryptids and UFOs? What was it that brought that out of you guys?
You know, I don't know, man. I really got into this podcast called Sasquatch Chronicles because my cousin Dustin, who plays drums, he got me into it. And he was like, "You gotta listen to the show." So I got into that, and I've always kind of like believed in Bigfoot and stuff. You know, I never seen it or anything. Never seen one. Never had any kind of experience that I know of. But I've always kind of been fascinated with the fact that there's other stuff, whether that be spiritual or physical, that we don't talk about and that people have seen, and people think those people are crazy. And there's so many people that have seen these things and their stories line up consistently, and it's just the phenomenon is too convenient to be just a bunch of made up stuff, you know, whatever it is. You know, you got to take people's witness with a grain of salt, of course, because people do make up stories. But you know, you got one guy on one side of the world talking about how he saw a giant, you know, creature, and then the other guy is describing the same thing on the other side of the world, you know, and that's just interesting to me. But really, yeah, he just got me into the show, and I started really listening to this show and getting into like the cryptid stuff. And you know, I knew about the basic ones, the Mothman, Dogman, Sasquatch, El Chupacabra, stuff like that, you know. But I guess the idea was I'd written a song, or I was getting into recording, you know, demos on my computer, and I'm still not good at that. That's why my brother does it. But I can do it enough to sort of put out some video stuff and kind of get some ideas to Old Cracker and stuff like that. But I was just playing around, and I came up with this real like swampy riff, and it reminded me of Sasquatch. And I was kind of like, well, that sounds like this song kind of like reminds me of like, you know, the wild man like walking through the woods or something. And that just sort of snowballed from there. And I was like, what if I started writing music like sort of with that in mind? You know, like if I write this, oh, what does this remind me of? You know, this one kind of reminds me of, you know, the Dog Man, or this one kind of reminds me of Skinwalker, you know. So it started that way, I think. And I think the only thing that I really told Old Cracker originally when I sent him the first song was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do a band, and the songs are all gonna be about cryptids. And he immediately jumped on it, like he said. He immediately got what I was talking about, even though we hadn't even come up with any of these other ideas yet. He immediately was like, "Oh, down for it." So it kind of made sense, you know.
During
Go ahead.
with old Cracker, my song "Where in the Hell's Palaka" actually has a cryptid in it called the Barden Booger, which is a skunk
Right.
ape, which is the Florida version of Bigfoot. So same thing, you know what I'm saying? It's something I believe in. Have a lot of native friends, and I really believe that Bigfoot's is a shapeshifter. Reason you don't see him is he can turn into other things, you know, which probably ties into him being an alien and da da da. But the thing is Bigfoot are called, you know, Florida they're called skunk apes. Out west they're called Bigfoot. In the Arctic they're called Yetis. You know, every place has these creatures. You know, how can it not be? I mean, truly, how can it not be true when they're spotted everywhere? Now, I haven't seen one. I'd love to. I have, you know, I found this giant turtle shell in this swamp in my house. I actually lived in Barden, hence the reason I found out about this Barden booger, and this giant turtle shell was all smashed. And I told my daughters, little kids, man, you know, 4 years old. I told them that the Barden booger eats turtles like we eat shrimp, and he would just smash the shells and just suck the turtle right out of them, you know. So I did went along with my own story with it, you know. And then once he told me same thing, I grew up in Michigan, and there happened Dog Man's huge in Michigan. So I wrote this story about where I used to live in Michigan about running into Dog Man, you know. So we take a little bit of fiction, a little bit of reality. I happen to live a cool life that I got a lot of shit to base stories on. I hang out with storytellers. I have like I told you, my uncle's an author. He's a storyteller. I grew up around storytellers, and I realized I wanted to be a storyteller, especially when I found my voice. And that's something that's definitely very unique. My I would say my spoken word is probably my best, is my number one attribute. Singing would be next deal, and maybe old cracker's not for everybody, but that kind of deal. But when it comes to storytelling, I do know that my voice and telling these kind of stories just definitely resonates with people and is working. So I love that part.
Yeah, and that actually reminded me too. The Bard and Booger video was the first video we ever uploaded, and and that one we just, again, we were just kind of doing this for fun, and we were like, let's just make some videos and put out some YouTube shorts and see what happens. And one of the interesting things about that video was there were like a couple, like we got like a few comments on it, as to be expected, but the comment section, interestingly enough, were people that knew about the Barden Booger and had seen the Barden Booger. And the thing about Barden, Florida is like it's a gas station. Like there's
Yeah,
it's not a big
right.
city. It's
It's
like
a
the
it's a
fact that we
tin
found
it's a
3 people on YouTube from Barden is a miracle
yeah.
in itself. And that was kind of like interesting, and that kind of inspired me to like, okay, so there are people out there that have stories, and there are people that would be interested in other stories like it. And so that's kind of what we do. And I don't, we don't have like you have like guests that come on and tell their stories and talk about that stuff. We don't do that. A lot of like what old Cracker said, it's made up. But the Barn Booger's not made up, but a lot like the other stuff is made up. And so it's more just inspired by that real stuff and not trying to take away from any of that real stuff, but like just sort of,
It's just the moon.
we
It's the
respect
moon.
it.
It's the moon
Yeah.
mulligan. It's the moon mulligan take on it. And what's cool is that it refreshing is that people are digging it. Including you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there isn't that gets me more psyched up for you to describe how you describe us and our music and what we're doing, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's worth doing your show just to hear you give that intro. Seriously, it's
Oh,
awesome.
thanks, man. And it's because everything I put in the intro is true. I'm looking at it from a fan's perspective, and I love her heavy metal, and I love cryptids, and I love the way you guys are doing these videos because and I listen to it at the gym, and it's kind of just it kind of gets me going. You know what I'm saying? One more rep,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
and it does work because it's original and everything makes sense, and it's almost like I know what it is. It's the stories coming to life, but then I know that just when I think you guys have done in last video, here comes another one. So let's talk about the latest video, which was maybe a little over a month ago, and with Skinwalker, and
Skinwalker.
because yes,
There's a dark story behind Skinwalker. So have a lot of native friends, and the natives don't even like to talk about it. Like so, they call what we don't talk about, what we must not say, what we you know what I'm saying. Most natives won't even get into talking to you about it, man. They really dislike it, and they really like doesn't even come out of their mouth, kind of shit. So it's more like the white people that actually talk about it. But there's a story about a brother killing his brother, to become the skinwalker type deal, you know. So the origins behind it, so like evil, you know. So we wanted, it's come, hand in hand, good and evil come right along with metal. I've always liked that about metal. People it's very religion is very misunderstood in metal, which is, sort of like shock rock, but the devil always sells when it comes to stories and evil, it seems like, and so it just tied into the storytelling part, you know what I'm saying? That's so like I can get my voice, it just fits into going into that kind of going down into the darkness to check this out, so Skinwalker just came about sort of like that, you know. Let Patrick give it a little deal if he can even remember how him and them started doing the music on it.
Yeah, so the idea behind the Skinwalker, and this may not be conveyed very clearly in the video, but I'll go ahead and say it. Within the story, there are two characters who essentially make a deal with the devil to gain this new form that they have, these new powers. And so in the Dogman video, basically he was an old man who lived in the 1930s. The Dust Bowl and the Great Depression really affected him, and his family were starving to death. And he ends up hearing about, the age-old tale of you go down to the crossroads and you meet a man there and he'll give you whatever you want.
Crossroads.
The old Robert Johnson sort of story, or, even Tenacious D have a take on that, so it's kind of like a cultural thing from all over. But he goes and does that, of course, and he meets the devil, and the devil gives him his family's, they don't die. They won't starve to death. He ensures that they will be fine in exchange for this old man being a creature that can be called upon by him to do his will whenever he wants. And of course, with that comes the transformation into the dog man, and he's stuck in that form and he lives forever, and he just roams the earth. The Skinwalker is very, very similar, but the difference between the two characters is that the Skinwalker, or the young man that would become the Skinwalker, did it out of selfish reasons. And actually, instead of saving his family, he killed his family. And so later down the line in the story, you will see those two characters sort of develop, and with those two sort of concepts in mind, you'll see that, because they are very different characters, but they have the same circumstances. They've both been cursed to roam the earth forever. They both have these like ungodly, powers that were given to them, and they both want to find a solution, but the way that they'll handle those situations is going to be different. And then you have some other characters, that are going to show up and all that. And I think the thing about the Skinwalker that's interesting to me is, it came solely out of like the idea that old Cracker was talking about, that he knew some people that, had these stories. And I mean, I've never met those people and I never heard those stories, but I knew that we wanted to do something with Skinwalker because it's such a popular sort of cryptid, but we didn't want to do the classic, I don't even know that much about Skinwalker, to be perfectly honest with you. So I didn't really know how to do it, but
sort of a victim of circumstance. I mean, of opportunity. You had the big Skinwalker thing in Miami, right? So as we're starting with this stuff, people are saying they saw these Skinwalkers walking through the mall, the entire police department of Miami there, and these Skinwalkers, are walking through the deal. So Skinwalkers is definitely still like an ongoing, deal. And there's a couple different variations on Skinwalker. There's sort of our variation. There's this variation like Miami, but people don't know any different, and so they, search that shit out. And then what's also cool, so by them, anytime they search any of these cryptids, we're starting to show up on the radar, because, that is where it comes into play with having so much content out about your stuff. Is that's the deal. You want to get caught up in the search engines when it comes to those type of words and ideas, but it's been really working to get our fan base. So Skinwalker is what we're going to go with again. It's just, we're pretty close song wise too, and definitely for demo, and that's what we want to be pushing. And we think people are going to dig it. We're already getting a great response from it, so we do believe it's the direction to go with and what to start with. But people still don't know what the hell we're fucking doing or what the fuck we're about, which is great too.
Well, I think that's part of the fun, though, right?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Yeah. That's what I mean. So people get to hear a little bit of figure it out,
Well, they're going to figure it out soon enough, my friend. With talking earlier, I was here listening to Patrick talk about explaining the whole Skinwalker thing. And I think that the whole concept of it in my mind, because talking about the comic books earlier, it kind of does go down that route where it could be its own graphic novel. It could be a standalone story just in a comic book, So I was already following along with the story.
Well, I'm for sure. So
Yeah,
is
that's
with old Cracker. I wrote a comic book too, and so sort of that was another thing how Patrick and we really started talking is because these guys got my comic book. I signed it for him and shit. I mean it was like really really cool. I did the show, I put this comic book out, and I got a great response from it. So same thing. I like artwork. My brother's a professional drawer. I can draw pretty good. Can't draw that level, but I love drawing. So I love
he's just now
art,
telling me
and
this,
that's
by the way.
also ties into the Moon Mulligan. Yeah. So I love it. You know what I'm saying? So, right, but I can't draw to that level. So same thing. I recruited for that. I recruited this artist. And so my name, Old Cracker, is also from I raised game chickens. Right. And so a fellow game guy knew that raised game chickens. He made me this really cool painting of me holding my rooster. And then I was like, man, dude, I got this idea for this comic book. And he freaking did it. And it's awesome. So I have a comic book too. I think it's in sort of goes along to one of my videos or something. But so I'm really excited because I know we're gonna get back into these comic books with Patrick and shit too. So see old Crackers tied into that shit because there's the Kraken and shit. So Pirate actually
Yeah, I
talks to
was
the
going to say
Kraken
that's
too,
that.
another
Yeah, that's what I
character
was
in
going
this
to
whole
bring up
story.
next.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so another
so yeah,
inspiration was
so
actually
it's
Sean himself, because he is the character Old Cracker, the pirate, and so there is obviously a character in our universe that is the Kraken. I don't know if you would consider that a cryptid, but it's kind of adjacent at least. And I kind of wanted something that would represent like the ocean and stuff. So when we decided to bring the Kraken on, it made sense to make the Kraken, instead of having this story that's about this sea creature, it's more about this pirate that inadvertently gains control of the sea creature. So if you watch the video, he's just a regular pirate, and then he ends up
yeah,
finding this treasure, which the
wheeling
aliens
and
also
dealing with
want.
the Kraken.
Right. So now he's got
Exactly.
control of the Kraken. So he will naturally show back up at some point with his new ally, which is the Kraken itself. So there will be a lot going on with all these different characters once they're all established and once they all sort of intermingle in a way that makes sense. And then
If y'all
hopefully it
have
makes sense.
been watching lately, is that that they're saying that the aliens are coming through the ocean, right? So I don't
Oh,
know, have
the
y'all
USOs.
seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So but that's what they believe. And then there's also this thing with octopuses and squids and how they can. This diver went down and this like octopus like totally mimicked his face, you know. So there is something with the Kraken tied into aliens, like for real, that I believe. And that's why these stories are so easy for me to tell because actually I believe them, like I believe it, and then whatever, and if it isn't, I make myself believe it kind of shit. It's awesome, man. I believe my own bullshit, but it's great.
It's called method acting, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah, so it works, so between talking to Patrick and that, and then working on a pirate ship, I get a lot of motivation from my job. So my job I have to sing sea shanties live, so it keeps my voice perfect metal condition. And I do theater in the round, so every day. So I'm ready. And it's just like sort of comes back around, like Patrick said, when you get in the studio and stuff, you want to be professional because it costs money, and if it doesn't cost money, it costs somebody's time, and you don't want to waste nobody's time. So being able to be professional, walk in and get some shit done. So like the music part is actually isn't necessarily so difficult. We're just taking our time on it. So what's great is we get together and on a professional level end up putting out some pretty good songs that are going to go right along with us. So boom, the story of Moon Mulligan, clear as mud.
Yep.
Well, now, because I understand, I know that you guys have these videos on YouTube. Are you on any other platform?
We have,
TikTok.
like he said, we have TikTok, we have X, we have Instagram, and I believe I'm on Rumble, but I don't really know how to use Rumble. I'll be honest with you, so I don't spend a lot of time there. But I do think that my YouTube uploads go there automatically. So if you use Rumble, then you probably won't. I probably won't see your comment, but you can watch it there.
We've sort of
And
stuck with
then I
YouTube being our main platform that we sort of tried to push
yeah.
as of now.
I just feel like I watch a lot of YouTube, so I feel like I know that platform the best. And I do think that if I were a viewer on YouTube, I would prefer to have kind of everything just in a cohesive, playlist or whatever. So I try to keep it organized. But like I said, you want to post. I don't get to make a video every week, so you do want to post something that's substantial, but not necessarily a main video. So I do have some shorts, and that's kind of what we upload on TikTok, as well as just some random stuff to hopefully get people to see it, and that seems to be working. I feel like some of the dumbest stuff that I upload gets the most views.
Exactly. It's
I
incredible.
don't know I don't know why
It's
how that
incredible.
works, but that's been the way that it is for me on not just this account, but on all of any of my endeavors ever online. You put out something that's completely brain dead, and it's like, oh yeah, we love that, and then you put out
And
something
then
you worked 6 months on, and nobody cares.
I mean,
it's
there's
cool that
something to it, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's cool we have enough stuff to recycle it. So even though we have stuff that's this old, there's still tons of people that have never seen it. And so we can keep rotating and recycling it because it's like telling the story, and people aren't getting sick of it because they're still trying to figure it out. We have so much of it that we can spread it out like that. So we're not just jamming a song down somebody's throat. Da, 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 da. And so, I think that I just like it. I like it's working. It works for us, really, and that's the most important part, man. Guys, you work your ass off in a band and da 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 da. And you don't know, man. Me and Patrick both been in bands, so we know that working like this is just, we're enjoying it. We have other stuff going on too, so we can do this just like we're doing it, be doing all our other stuff and getting stuff done.
No, and we can definitely tell that you're enjoying what you're doing. And before we go, Cracker, I have a recommendation for you because you talk about sea shanties, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know if this CD is still available. It might even, I don't know. A guy, Skip Henderson,
Okay.
and put that on your playlist. A song called Billy Bones.
Yeah, man.
You'll thank me. You'll thank
Okay,
me
cool.
later. It'll be right up your
all
alley.
right.
And,
Yeah, man. Ooh, hell yeah. Thank you.
It's a lot of fun to listen to. And gentlemen,
Cool.
we're coming towards the end of the show, and we talked about you're on TikTok, you're on YouTube. You got on Facebook, you're on X, and you're also on Instagram. With the studio being built is about to happen, the 2-hour drive is not that bad. And
Nope.
And I'm not trying to put pressure on
I don't
you.
even think it's quite that. I think it's like an hour and a half. Yeah, it's like an hour and a half. No, we'll get it done, man. We're getting right there to do it. So
I can't wait to hear what's going on in that studio. But like I said, not to put pressure on you, where can we expect a song or something to come out? What are we looking later this year? Are we talking about next year? I know you want to take your time.
I was going to ask you, when do you think this episode is going to drop?
This one?
Yeah.
We're already in May. I can't believe that we're already in May. We're looking at probably July.
Okay, well, how about this? The day this episode drops, we'll drop the song.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't even know about this, Diego. So I'm psyched. I'm like, hell yeah.
Cool. I'm today's years old. This is awesome. This is great news.
Great.
I feel honored that that's happening.
Yeah, you might as well, man. If someone's listening to the show, they can go listen to it on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever today.
Awesome, man.
You just gotta let me know when you're gonna upload it.
Yep. Oh no, you guys will be the first to know for sure. And now for the listeners of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, that we're gonna get to hear Skinwalker. If you don't mind, let's do like an old Casey Kasem thing.
Yeah.
Let's play up that song. What are we expecting in this song, my brothers?
Moon Mulligan right now with the man himself, Diego podcast going worldwide. Did y'all know that? Diego's going worldwide. Moon Mulligan's backing him right now with this right here, Skinwalker.
Moon Mulligan and Skinwalker right here on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, right now.
All content on this broadcast is a property of Diego the Podcaster and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, Diego the Podcaster, or Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. The information shared on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday is provided on an as-is basis, with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.